Well, thank you, Katie. I appreciate the introduction, and thanks all for being here. Without you, the business owners, the entrepreneurs, I wouldn't really have much to do. So please never feel like you're burdening your business advisors, myself, or Peyton, because without you, we wouldn't really be doing our job. So, and thanks all for having the grit to pursue entrepreneurship. It's certainly not an easy battle. But I think perseverance is really rewarding and hopefully financially rewarding at some point as well. I got a couple of materials here that I'll mention as we get going into some things, but I want to maybe just kind of briefly talk a little bit about my background and some of the programs that we'll discuss today. So primarily Shop North Dakota, which is a program we've developed, but just as Peyton was giving his discussion, I kind of was thinking of some other things, so I added those in there. Just recently too, so we can kind of revisit those. And then anything that Peyton had talked about that was of interest to you, I can maybe get a little bit further into the details. But again, Greg Surup, I am a Grand Forks native, born and raised. I still live there. I work a little bit at the University of North Dakota. I have done some teaching, again, I virtually over in Shanghai, which has been an interesting experience. So. But yeah, most of what I teach within the business school at UND is tied to entrepreneurship, starting a business, sources of funding, how to get a loan. So much of what I do in the classroom as well as in my roles and responsibilities with the SBDC are very similar. Beyond that, back in 2012, I kind of got into the investment industry. In 2015, I started my own venture capital firm, which is pretty small by venture capital standards, but we invest in early stage startup companies. None of which are food-based businesses, so I apologize. So most of what we invest in is medical technology, a lot of high-tech software or autonomous technologies, drones, things like that. So it's all usually technology-based, but that experience brought me to the SBDC and really have been impressed with the SBDC and the resources that they provide. So I'm actually really grateful to be able to work with an organization like that. So can't really say enough good things about the small business development centers. But yeah, I have a pretty diverse background and I hope to share that with you, but certainly let's make this a discussion. If you have a question, raise your hand and let's talk about it, because I'd like you to get as much out of this as you can. We have about 45 minutes, so let's get into it. But again, don't be afraid to raise your hand and shout out a question, and I can reiterate that. And if we don't have the solution for you today, we'll try to work on that maybe over the next few days, or even try to proactively address that and have somebody speak about it in some of their discussions tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to get into the presentation. First thing we're going to talk about is Shop North Dakota. So just very briefly, what is Shop North Dakota? And again, I have some informational things here for you, so if you'd like some of this. We have some stickers and things, but this talks about what Shop North Dakota is. So if you think this is helpful to you, you want a little bit more information or want to give this to somebody else, this is a pretty good tool to be able to hand off to somebody. But Shop North Dakota is an online marketplace only for North Dakota businesses. So when the pandemic hit, I work under what's called the CARES program within the North Dakota Small Business Development Center. So if you aren't familiar, the CARES program is responsible for things like PPP, which is payroll protection funding, EIDL, which is economic injury disaster loan, as well as SVOG, shuttered venue operator grants, and a number of other programs, right? So CARES funding was basically stimulus for small businesses, and that's usually where I worked, and again, primarily on those programs. We as a state, as an agency, receive funding to be able to support businesses with other resources, and it's up to us to determine what resources that we provide to businesses. And so one of the things that many other states had done, and we had kind of an eye on, was developing a website, which ultimately is called ShopND, or Shop North Dakota. So we developed Shop North Dakota as an online marketplace. So if you didn't have an existing e-commerce platform, or maybe you have an online website, many people have a website, it's maybe just one of those things that's easy to slip through the cracks, you're not maybe managing it constantly, or you forget to hit your renewal, or your domain expires, or you're worried about security or processing payments. We take all that off the table. All the taxes, all the administration of the website is done by a third party. They're actually out of Iowa. They're amazing. They have a phenomenal customer service, and great Midwestern people, so much like yourselves, and that's why we decided to work with them. So although we are outsourcing it, outside of North Dakota, they're a great resource and have been great partners of ours in developing and launching Shop North Dakota. So a couple of things before I get started on how to access this. If you're not an existing Small Business Development Center client, which anybody that is an SBDC client can tell you it's pretty easy to register, and you can really just do that online or by calling our lead center. So I left that information up there. So you can either visit our website, and there's an area where you can sign up to become a client, and there's also a phone number you can call where Danielle, our client relations specialist, will take your information, get you set up, and then put you on the schedule to meet with somebody like me or a business advisor to answer some of your questions. But if you are a current client, you could talk to me, or if you're located here in Bismarck, you talk to somebody like Peyton and say, hey, I'm interested in ShopND. Or if you don't need somebody else to help you, you can actually just go direct to the website, which is shopnd.com, and check out the Become a Seller tab. And that's the first step that it'll show you, which I can kind of demonstrate to you very quickly. All right, so if you go to the ShopND website, this is what it looks like. And again, I'm sure maybe some of you are already existing ShopND customers, which again, I thank you for that. That's awesome. But truly, like, it gets better every business we have, because there's great diversity among the types of businesses that we have and the products that can be bought and sold. But I gotta tell you, there's a lot of people who ask me all the time, Greg, as a business advisor, how do I support small businesses in my area? So people are asking, where can I spend money to help local businesses? They're tired of hearing, how Walmart and Amazon continue to thrive throughout a pandemic, and small business owners, as well as people in North Dakota, are the ones who seemingly take it in the shorts. And so hopefully ShopND can be one other tool to help turn the tide of that a little bit. So this is the website. If you go under About, you'll see that Become a Seller tab. And it's got some instructions. It's got more information, like I mentioned, no cost. So again, the only cost that you pay is the processing fees for the website on each transaction, which is 2.9% and then 30 cents per order. So pretty lean. You don't pay any hosting fees. We pay for that. You don't pay anything for security. The taxes, again, are paid on your behalf for you. So that's nothing you'd have to worry about. And again, it's designed to help you sell, not just in North Dakota, but across the United States and across the world potentially, to be able to sell your products. So you have a few different options for how you want to set up your website. It does currently accept existing Shopify websites as well as Square websites. So if you have an existing website on those two platforms, they will take your username and password and basically automatically upload and integrate the information you already have. So if your inventory changes on your Shopify website, it'll be reflected on your ShopND website. So you don't have to manage two different platforms. So if you do already have something going, again, maybe some handy tools within there. Again, you don't need to pay the taxes. One of the limitations is this is restricted to for-profit businesses. So most of you are for-profit businesses, but if you happen to be doing something that it is considered nonprofit, that's a requirement. We're a taxpayer-funded business, and so that's kind of why we are exclusive to tax-paying types of customers or businesses. A lot of good information, the benefits of selling on Shop North Dakota, again, just broadening those channels. But I'll let you look through this information. And again, the requirements here are your registered business within the state of North Dakota. So we'll look at first stop if anybody's not sure how to register your business. That's going to be one of the critical steps. It's also outlined in the Small Business Development Center's Small Business Resource Guide, So information on that is available, and we can kind of talk through what that looks like. But are you registered with the North Dakota Secretary of State? Do you have an LLC? Do you have a trade name? Just making sure, again, you have kind of those basic, fundamental things that are required by the state. But effectively, once you apply for the website, or I'll show you kind of what that looks like. So once you are ready to go, you hit Yes, I'm ready. And here's kind of the questions. It asks for your name, your email, your phone number, the location of your business. Are you for profit? It reminds you here, okay, are you a current SBDC client? If you're not, you can register right here, in which case you put yes. And then are you registered and in good standing? So we'll audit that with the first stop is publicly available resource. So we'll go onto the Secretary of State's website, make sure that you're in good standing, and if you're not, we'll help you kind of get on the right track. So registering your business is typically pretty inexpensive, especially if you're a sole proprietor. Maybe really the only thing you would need to do as a sole proprietor, meaning just a sole individual operating a business, is you might want to consider a trade name registration, which basically, my name is Greg Syrup, so if I go out and I sell products, maybe I sell books, we'll say this is the book that I'm selling. If I sell a product to you, I'm selling it as Greg Syrup, okay, as a sole proprietor. But if I want to call my business, Greg's Books and Candle Company, because we sell a couple different things, well, in order to use that name, Greg's Book and Candle Company, I should have that trade name registered, right? So that's called doing business as, or DBA. So I'm Greg Syrup doing business as Greg's Books and Candle Company, okay? And so that's what a trade name registration is. Trade name registration is pretty inexpensive. I want to say it's $20 or $30, and it gets you at least a couple of years. Sometimes they have a 5-year window for that. Somebody could probably tell us accurately, but it's fairly inexpensive. And then the business entity registration for like an LLC is going to be something like $130 to get your business registered as an LLC or a partnership or something to that effect. And there's a good tool that's available on the First Stop website that kind of points you in the direction of what type of entity you should consider being based on some variables that you can share. So again, once you submit this information on your website, it'll then take you to kind of the next phase of the application. So this may seem a little redundant, but once you get approved, we've found out that, yep, you're in good standing, you've done all the things that you need to do. You'll go to this page to create your seller account. So we'll send you this link to kind of get to the next step. You set up your email address, your password, again, first name, last name. Here's where you can upload logos or cover photos. You're not required to upload this right when you're doing this, and so if at a later point in time you don't have those pictures handy when you're doing this, you can do that after the fact, but this will actually get your account set up. Question?
So this is the Shop North Dakota?
Correct.
Here?
Yeah.
So you apply over at SBDC?
That's to register as an SBDC client, so.
As soon as you're done with that, and that's approved, then this happens?
Yeah, exactly. So once you so a couple things. Get registered as an SBDC client, and that's, again, the information on the page we just showed you back here. So there's probably 3 different registrations total in addition to the business registration, so it's probably a little bit confusing. So this is the first page where you're registering to become a seller, and on here it says, are you an SBDC client? And if you're not an SBDC client, you would register here also.
Actually, I just did this a few minutes ago.
Perfect, yeah. So.
A little while ago.
Perfect. So the next step for you then would be, we'll send you to this vendor registration page. You'll be able to share a little bit more information on your business. Are you a Pride of Dakota member? Again, kind of setting up some of these things. And then what happens is we say it takes 24 to 48 hours. They usually do it within like 20 minutes. But you'll get a business approval. I don't know if anybody's ever done it. I've been on the phone with you, and like, I'm like, yeah, it'll be 24 to 48 hours. And you're like, oh, I just got an email. And I'm like, awesome. So also to mention here, this get $10 off your first order. That doesn't come out of the company's pocket. That comes out of our pocket. The SBDC pays that, so people are incented to buy from local businesses. So that doesn't come out of your side. I've had people ask on that, well, why are you giving away my money? It's like, no, that's going out of our pocket, so don't worry about that. But yeah, once you finish this and they approve you, they get you access, you'll then be able to start adding products. You'll have 3 options for how you can ship or sell a product. One is local delivery, one is local pickup, and then the other one is to ship a product out. So you have a few different options. Again, taxes are taken care of, and then payment is done through PayPal or Stripe, and that's basically refreshed every 2 or 3 days. So if you've made sales this past week, in a couple days you'll basically get the aggregated transfer into your account, and then you can deposit that into your bank account or do whatever you want with it from there once it's in your account. So that's Shop North Dakota kind of in a nutshell. And yeah, we have over 100 businesses on it today. It's been a great resource, and have sold, I think, over, I can't remember how many thousands. It's a few $1,000s have been sold through it. But again, no cost to you. And this is technically set up to continue right now through September of 2022, but it should get extended. So we kind of just say that in terms of full transparency, because right now the funding that we're using only goes until the end of September, but we're pretty proactive or confident it's going to continue to get funded moving forward.
So when you have to ship something online, like do we have to have our own shipping set up for that?
Yeah, so a couple things with that. There are, you have the ability to maybe set up like a shipping center, so you could buy the resources from like an online shipping company to help you print those labels and package boxes. It's not really set up turnkey at the moment for what they offer, and that's something that they're working on integrating. So again, it makes it as easy as possible. So you make a sale, somebody says, ship it to me here, you'll get an email with that shipping label, and it'll print from your actual printing label shipper, and then you're gonna have boxes on hand, you'll package them up, and then you can put them at a UPS or FedEx or USPS pickup or drop-off zone. And sometimes there's local areas that you can do that. A lot of businesses will act as hubs where you can have them pick up things. Or if you have a large enough distribution, they'll come right to your house or wherever your business is and pick those up on their routes as well. So it's coming. It's not quite that easy right now, but it's kind of one of those things we're developing because, again, the idea behind all of this is to make it as simple as possible. You got better things to do than worry about a website and things like that. Let us worry about that. You work on growing your business and selling products. Question?
You said it integrates with Square, Shopify. Does it actually pull in the products from?
Yeah, it should. So what you'll do is have a conversation. If you email info@shopnd.com, their customer support team will basically, I won't ask you for that information, but they'll have a conversation with you and say, yep, give us your information for those websites, and they'll pull in the information. They have it done. It's set up through what's called an API. So when they punch in your information, it basically copy and pastes everything from your Shopify onto your ShopND, so you don't have to do the legwork again a second time.
Would that keep track of your inventory?
Yep, exactly. So if you sell one product on Shopify and one product on ShopND, it will sync those up periodically and let you know where your real inventory levels are, so that way you're not double counting or you didn't miss one. So you'd have two things sold and it would be reflected on both platforms. Yeah, great question.
Does it also allow to ship it and then charge shipping later? You know what I mean? So that you don't have that set up at shipping.
Sure. Yeah, and the way that it is kind of designed is you either add shipping into your product cost, or you can separate it out. So if your product costs $10 and you want to charge $5 for shipping, it will be reflected like that. So it'd be a total $15, but you have to identify what that price is up front right now. And so, yeah, in the future, if somebody says, well, I want you to ship it to New York versus I want you to ship it to Mandan from Bismarck, the shipping cost is going to be different, right? I mean, there's going to be still a minimal or nominal cost involved with both of those. So the question is really, what is the appropriate amount to charge? And right now it's, you have to set that fee, determine what that shipping cost would be for yourself. So again, an SBDC advisor can help you think through what shipping should cost, or on your own, you can go out and set up those shipping calculators and processing systems to where it's going to print off the label, and you could have kind of a distribution center set up in your home where it will print the label. You can put them on boxes, and you can just basically go drop it off at the post office, and postage is already paid. You don't have to stand in line. Makes it easy on you. So yeah, for now you do have to worry about that, but in the future, ideally, you type in a zip code and it charges shipping based on their location. Yeah, it's all taken care of. They use a system called Avalara, which identifies what state you're selling a product in or to, and charges taxes or pulls taxes out for that. So when you get paid out from the website, it'll be less taxes. So the income will be minus any sales tax that you had to pay. And nope, it all gets done, or they may send you a report to let you know what was sent in on your behalf, but you won't have to actually write the check yourself to pay. And I think, again, you could reach out to them and say, hey, how much have I paid in taxes? And they'd be able to produce a report for you.
Does ShopND or the SBDC use any avenues for advertising this? And if so, which ones do they use?
Absolutely. We've done a lot of social media advertising. We've also done a lot of radio as well as television ads. We've done some things in periodicals. I think at one point we talked about a billboard, but we didn't actually end up buying the billboard. So yeah, we've kind of done it more through a grassroots, and word of mouth has really been one of the things that has spread this. But we've spent, I want to say, something like $10,000 or $15,000 actually marketing ShopND to customers, not to businesses. You know, I'm here talking to businesses, recruiting you to use it, and then again, we're spending money outside of that, trying to let people know here's what you can purchase on this website. And then also the ShopND partner that we have, their name is actually Member Marketplace. They market as well on social media, just do posts kind of regularly to share what types of products are available. So as a third party, they kind of just pick at random, you know, what businesses to feature. So your business may get featured at some point on there too.
So this is like a two-part question. So how long has this been around now?
It started in May of 2021.
2021?
Yeah.
So not even a year yet?
Not even a year yet.
So the reason I'm asking is because, like, you know how we have like yearly publications in cities about things in the city? Have you guys thought about if this is really a program that's going to keep moving forward about possibly even like using those publications to do ads like local products or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So.
It just came out, I know, right now.
Right, and so one of the things that we're working on developing right now is additional content. So I'll talk about here in a moment a lot of the other things we have to kind of like coincide with this or complement this program. But yes, working with a lot of the local chambers of commerce, JDAs, as well as economic developers to let them know that this is a resource. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, again, the grassroots effort that we want to be able to have the awareness. So people locally, right, it doesn't matter if only the business people know about this. We also need customers to know about it. And, you know, but effectively a lot of that's done through the local business community, and we've had pretty good word of mouth. But certainly that's kind of the next phase of where we're going, is to try to continue to broaden that awareness, because as of today, we have over 130 businesses on ShopND, and it was at like about 80 or 90 just a month ago. But we recently hired an intern who has been just a rock star for us and recruiting a ton of businesses and getting businesses that have applied or had been approved, getting their business profiles actually up and running so they can start selling products. So, and you know, a lot of that depends on you as well. We have materials, or you'll get a welcome kit, which I'll go back to my presentation now. You can't really see it here, but welcome kits include just like instructions on what to do, other things that the SBDC provides, which I'll talk about. You get stickers, window clings, and then also cards. So as you're going out, and I have a number of those things with me too. So if you want some stickers or business cards or things to kind of promote ShopND, if you have products listed on there, that's what the stickers are for you to place those on your product. So if people do purchase something, you can let them know where they can repurchase. Same thing with the business cards. We've been heavily involved with the Pride of Dakota conferences. So if you've attended one of those, we have some banners, and we've also been purchased things to be able to put in the bags, the swag bags for anybody that's in attendance. So you may have seen some of those things there. But so if you sign up for ShopND, you should get something from us within a month or two with all this information, as well as the stickers, the cards. And you don't have to use it, but if you want to use it, you can. And anytime you want more, let us know. That we're here to help you. So, you know, we kind of have to generally market. We can't show favoritism to any one business or have anything specifically designed for any one business that we're working with. So it's all branded just as ShopND. But yeah, if that's beneficial to you, or that's helpful to you, again, those are available really at your request. All right, so really quickly, a couple other things that we provide. Media kits. So if anybody's familiar with the photo light box, it's like a 2x3x3 box. It's a black box essentially, but inside is a bright white setting, like a pull down screen, and it has super bright LED lights. So if you're looking for a nice finished photo for your products, these are available to rent from somebody like Peyton, or you can just bring in your products. Peyton can set you up with a light box. Everything is meant to be used with your cell phone. In addition to that, we have what we call the AV kits, which is a 4x8 foot green screen and stand. So if you want to record some video, maybe you have a product that's too big to fit in your box. Maybe you're just looking to do maybe some photos of your dog because you want to develop a calendar for yourself. Whatever it is, that's an option for you. Somebody asked if they could put their dog inside of the photo light box. I don't know if I'd recommend that, but I'm sure it's been done before. In addition to that, tripods as well as mounts for smartphones. Tripods with lights, they're LED lights that can go yellow, blue, green, red, as well as microphones and connectors. So these are really nice Rode microphones. We have lapel microphones as well as like camera mounted microphones. So we have all the tools for you to be able to connect your microphone to a smartphone. So if you have an Apple phone and it's got the Lightning port, we have the Lightning port adapter. If you have a Samsung phone, it's got the USB to C, we have the port for that, or again, even just the regular headphone jack. So whatever type of device you have, as well as if you have like a professional grade camera, like our friend has here, it'll plug right into that as well. And so there's, again, a cord for virtually everything that you might need. So if you want to do content creation or something like that, that's kind of the intent behind that. These are in every city that we have an SBDC center. So there is one in Bismarck here with Peyton at the Bank of North Dakota building is where he's located. So he's got 5 of the photo light boxes and 2 or 3 of the AV kits. And you can rent them. There's no cost to renting them, and you can rent them for a couple weeks at a time. And you can, yeah, exactly. So what if you know, we get it. Nobody, not everybody lives in town. But again, Williston, Dickinson, Bowman, Grand Forks, Fargo, Devils Lake, Minot. So in pretty much every major hub of North Dakota, we're located. Just some other information, again, media kit instructions. So those 2 items I just mentioned, I wanted to kind of just point out that we have some instructions to be able to help you with that. All right, so media kit instructions. I'll save myself the embarrassment of showing the video because who doesn't love to watch awkward videos of themselves on the internet? But yeah, those are located here. You'll probably get a chuckle out of them. But just kind of demonstrating how the products work and what's actually included. So that's the photo kit, the AV kit, but the photo light box, again, just demonstrating how they work, how they open up. They're super easy to carry. They're pretty lightweight. Again, I'll let you watch those videos, but super informative, and that link's going to be included in the presentation for you. But you can find this again on our ndsbdc.org website. And again, the registration that I was talking about, you can kind of do that by clicking business advising and just click I'm a business owner, I want to start a business. And then you come down to here to request initial appointment. And then you kind of pick the location that you're looking to connect with. Well, it doesn't say it on here, but here's all the different locations that we are located in. And then just register for services. And so you start by just throwing in your email right here. So this is what the SBDC client registration looks like. So again, this is one of the things that you need to do before getting access to ShopND. It just asks for some demographic information about your business, male, female, do you have any disabilities? Are you a veteran, things like that? How big is your business? How many employees do you have? It's just kind of some general, we report all this information anonymously. We don't take anything specific to your business, but just so we can kind of prove to our supporting agencies, here's what we're doing, here's why or how we're helping different businesses through this. All right, so business plans, just really briefly want to talk about business planning and kind of the importance of that. So if you look at page 19, if for anybody that got an SBDC resource guide, it says even on the left side, it talks about business plans and what are the reasons you would start a business plan. So I'll kind of talk through that really quickly. But the 4 things it lists here, it says starting or buying a business, financing or refinancing your business, deciding if your idea is feasible, and then raising debt or equity capital. And it talks about the different components of a business plan. The primary ones are going to be an executive summary, which is going to be a little bit about everything. And by everything, we'll mean, what's the product that you sell, what's the problem that you're solving, who are the people involved, what's the market, like who's your ideal customer, how many customers are in your market locally, or if you have a business that can be attractive nationally, what's the size of that market on a national scale, but what really is the size of the market you can go after today. You want to make sure you have a customer in front of you. Goals and objectives, again, products or services, how you're going to market or sell, how you're going to distribute the product, management, who's going to be managing the business, who are the business owners. Peyton mentioned, your resume might be something you include in the business plan. It's important that they know, again, business plans are often used to get a loan or something like that, or to apply for a program. They want to know about you and why you're doing what you're doing. And then also financial management. So those three main financial statements, balance sheet, cash flow statement, as well as profit and loss or income statement are all really helpful there. I'll show you LivePlan in a second. One other search data that typically would cost an individual $500 or $1,000 to pay for online. Like there's different resources you can find. If I want to start a pizza shop in Grand Forks, you could type that in and find resources online where it says, well, here's what data that you would use to start your pizza shop in Grand Forks. We can provide that to you for free. We pay as an agency tens of thousands of dollars a year to be able to have a general license to be able to access this data on your behalf, and we can provide that to you. So if you're just like trying to identify if you should go, no go, or how many customers, what other pizza businesses have done to be successful, how many other pizza businesses, is the concentration of pizza businesses per capita greater or less than the national average, right? So we could actually identify that. Or maybe you're thinking of opening up a coffee shop. We could tell you, on average, does Bismarck have one coffee shop per 30 people? And if the national average is one coffee shop per 50 people, then you would ultimately assume, okay, maybe the market for coffee shops is a little more saturated than the national average. So again, as well as things financially, like what they pay in terms of percentages, what the net profitability is, what the typical operating costs of those types of businesses are. So if you're in a newer industry, though, it might be a little bit more difficult for us to get data. And certainly early stage businesses are always a little bit more challenging to plan for and predict, because a lot of you are doing it without paying yourselves. But this does kind of assume that, again, you're paying yourself as an owner, or there's an owner opportunity built within that. So again, LivePlan is something that we reference, which is super helpful. So if nobody's heard of LivePlan before, just to show you really quickly, if you meet with an advisor, we can give you free access to this. You just type in your company name. So I'll just type in Pride of Dakota, what your business stage. So if you're a new business, existing business, when you want the forecast to start, how many years of details do you want? Are you doing dollars, English, number of separators, and again, who's going to have access to it? So if I just actually create this company and show you really quickly. And it has good information on how to actually use this. I'm going to skip the tour for our purposes. You go all the way down to start the plan, right? So the first thing that you're going to see all right, is executive summary. And as I mentioned, this is something that's kind of composed of all the other things in your business plan. So you're actually going to do your executive summary last. You're going to start with the opportunity, but again, we'll give you this outline. You can change the outline. So the first question that's asked is, what problem are you solving? And the product or service that you provide is the solution, right? So why would somebody be incentivized to buy your product? What's the current market look like? And as you're thinking about developing this, it has instructions, okay? It says, describe the key problem or unmet need that you will address for your customers. And then if you have a common business, such as a restaurant or nail salon, explain why your customers need your particular restaurant or nail salon, right? What differentiates you? And so it actually has very helpful tips. And again, you see some examples here with a food truck or a car wash. So if you're struggling to think of like how to articulate details or describing your business, this is a great resource because it provides kind of a template to do that, as well as some examples of what you might want to include. So this is LivePlan. Again, a business advisor can set you up with this. It does have some financial things within that. I'll also mention one of the tools that I use all the time comes from SCORE, which is another great resource. SCORE used to stand for Service Corps of Retired Executives. Now it just stands for SCORE. They simplified it, but I really like this financial projections template. You can kind of just type numbers in for your business, and it kind of runs everything through a 3 or 5 year program. But this is usually what I work with clients on. If they're looking at applying for a loan, usually cash flow projections and things like that are necessary. So we will often use something like this. If you work with an SBDC business advisor, we also use a program called Fin 9.0, which is a little bit more complex. And then the bummer thing about Fin 9.0 is we can't actually give you the document so you can work on it yourself. We can only give you a PDF because it's a really expensive template. But this is a free template. And I can give this template to you, and then you can continue to work on it, and we can kind of communicate back and forth over time on something. Whereas Fin 9.0 is you have to have me to update it, which is a little bit cumbersome sometimes for entrepreneurs. So whatever fits you, maybe you're not comfortable doing the finances on your own, in which case Fin 9.0 may be the better solution. But if you're a tinkerer like me, maybe the financial projections template is more helpful to you in those instances. We did talk about Operation Intern before, so I just wanted to kind of pull this up. Funding for year 2 of the program is now closed, so basically this was open just recently, but they must have received a lot of applications, and the amount of money that was available has probably been spoken for. If enough people get turned down and there's money still left over, they'll reopen it up, I would imagine. But as we were kind of mentioning before in the earlier session, it's a pretty competitive program, it seems like. Another question that I got asked before I came had to do with how to get a barcode or a UPC. That's a pretty common question. Not something I spent a lot of time working on myself. Certainly there's going to be people within Pride Dakota that can maybe help you navigate this a little bit more effectively, but just from what I could find briefly researching this seems to be GSI or gs1.org is where maybe you could get your barcode. So certainly research that, talk to some folks within Pride Dakota to identify what's best fit for you. You don't necessarily need a barcode to operate a business. And again, if you're going to sell in a retail chain, it's going to be required, like if you're selling on the shelves at a grocery store or something like that, and they're not just going off of a item number, then you may want it. So again, if you're lucky enough to be able to sell in like a Target or something like that, they're going to want you to have a barcode. Sometimes they can get expensive though to get barcodes, from what I understand. I don't know, does anybody in here have experience getting barcodes? What's your experience been? Is it easy enough to do? Challenge? Yeah?
And it's not expensive.
Not expensive, okay.
And you get, I think you get 10 of them at one time or something.
Perfect, yeah.
If you sign up for GS1, which I have a GS1 account, you can get up to 100 barcodes. It's yeah.
So GS1 is a good resource?
GS1's a great resource.
Okay, perfect. I was shooting in the dark with that, so I'm glad. Thank you for verifying.
It's about $180 a year.
Okay.
To keep your GS1 current, but if you don't have your bags printed on, or you don't, like if you're gonna go into a Target and you have your merchandise printed on, you can have that sent to your printer. But if you just want like a regular label that.
Like a sticker? Yeah.
Yeah, a stick-on label, you can go to your local print shop and they can get you QR codes, and they can get you UPC codes too.
Awesome. No, thank you for clarifying that, because again, like I said, I felt like I was shooting in the dark. I don't necessarily work with a ton of retail businesses as often as I would like to. I've spent the majority of my time with the SBDC working specifically on loans like the EIDL and PPP, so I don't really get to help many new business starts. So anyway, that's good information to have, certainly. Some other things just as we wrap up to consider. This is, we meet as the SBDC a few times throughout the year, and one of the things that we aggregate or we pull together is kind of like best practices or things to consider for businesses, and this is what we kind of pull together for retail businesses, which might kind of fit our group here. So what type of business insurance would you have? Is it just general liability insurance, or do you need something beyond that? Do you need a liquor license? Are you planning to sell liquor? Does a product contain alcohol? If you're operating a venue, do you need a music license, right? Sometimes, depending on the city that you're in, there's going to be different rules and regulations that you're going to want to be aware of. Some of that relates to signage. Some of that could relate to like food inspection. So I'll mention here cottage food law in North Dakota, as well as developing or manufacturing in a commercial kitchen, right? There's some limitations on how you can sell your product depending on what category you fall into with your food manufacturing if you're a food manufacturer. Do you have a resale certificate? You may want to get a sales and use tax certification in order to resell products. If you're going to have a venue in which people come in and occupy or sit down, you may want to obtain a certificate of occupancy, or I should say you should get a certificate of occupancy. And then type of point of sale system. So a lot of people use Square. You could use different things. Some people just do it on pen and paper. There's certainly a number of options that could work for you. It's really just whatever fits your business. We get asked all the time, what do we recommend? And it really depends on the types of sales that you're doing. Are you doing credit card transactions? Are you selling online? What does that look like? Some people just use Excel, Microsoft Excel. There's other small business tailored systems like QuickBooks will have something, Square has something. I think there's another one called Mint. I don't know, there's a bunch of different weird names. But if you just Google small business, point of sale systems, you'll get, a lot of people have the Square Reader, which you attach to your phone or tablet. Again, those can be very handy to use. So whatever, again, fits you. There is no one-size-fits-all type. It really depends on what you're comfortable with. Credit card processing or merchant, so again, depending on what you're going to be doing. Are you going to accept American Express? They charge a little bit higher than Visa or MasterCard, right? Who are your vendors? Where are you getting your supplies from? Are there risks? Like, are those vendors reliable? Can you count on them? If you get an order for 10,000 of your product, are they going to be able to help you meet the demand of that order? Are you going to do a grand opening, or what types of marketing events are you going to need to do to launch this? And then how will you manage accounts and payroll? And I think I have it mentioned here, on the next one. So again, if you're working in a restaurant business, different health permits, safety equipment that you're going to have, serve safe training or safe handling practices is going to be important. Are you wearing gloves, hairnets, things like that? Again, I just put up the cottage food law legislation or kind of legal language for anybody if they want to reference that. But also want to mention here, the SBDC has discount codes available for QuickBooks. And we don't necessarily say QuickBooks is the best or anything like that. There's a number of different resources you could use to manage your payroll and accounting. QuickBooks is a good one. NetSuite's another good one. Square is also good. Doing it through Microsoft Excel is also fine. Again, it's just a matter of what some are more expensive than others. We can get you a discount to start on QuickBooks here, but in the future it's going to be full price, right? So I can't necessarily promise that's the cheapest option. And some of them will do it based on a percentage of your sales or charge you on an annual basis or whatever. So there are some free ones out there, but just be careful because you can't always guarantee your security when you're getting a free product. But if you're paying for something, you're due a little bit more in terms of the security they have to provide. So I would say paying a little bit is better typically from a security perspective, especially in today's day and age with cybersecurity concerns and things like that. You want to be mindful of those things. I already mentioned the Operation Intern thing, but again, if you're looking for those guidelines, that's kind of what I was referencing in the conversation earlier. It is a great program. And then we talked about the barcodes. So that's all I think I have. I don't know how much. I'm maybe pretty close to time, but if any last minute questions, I can certainly answer those. I have business cards as well. I won't be sticking around this afternoon or tomorrow, but I'll leave enough business cards with Katie or just around. So if you do want to reach out to me, feel free. Again, that's what we're here for. Please do. Don't hesitate because that's what we do. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have favorite, or does the SBDC have favorite website builders that you recommend or see work best for small businesses that plug into all these things?
Yeah, great question. We can't pick favorites, unfortunately, so we usually mention at least 3. The 3 that I like, I would say, would be Shopify, Wix, and Square.
Square, Squarespace.
Yeah, I guess
They're different.
yeah, that's a good point. And I haven't used either one of them myself, but I just know that those are pretty common ones, so that's a good point. They could be any number of those. So for this, Shopify and Square seem to be the 2 that integrate well with ShopND, but I wouldn't necessarily rely solely on what's going to work well with ShopND. We'll go with what works well for your business. And if you're selling a product, Shopify is kind of designed to do that. Etsy's been another popular one that many use. So again, it kind of is up to you. We're pretty hands-off when it comes to making that decision for you because we don't want to make any recommendations, I guess, but go ahead, Don.
This is a real naive question, but if I have a website already, and I'm on using Wix, can I transfer that website to Shopify if I want to change web designs?
There's probably a way to do it or a template for how you would want to do it. I don't know if there's going to be an automatic transition tool for you, but there could be something certainly that would help with that transition. We could talk about that because I would bet we could find something out there that says, hey, if you want to switch from one to the other, here's the checklist of how you'd want to do that most effectively.
If I may touch up on the ShopND platform
Yeah.
again, it's not really a question. It's pretty user-friendly and straightforward to go in and use, even if you aren't able to have Shopify integrated
No, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, and that's, again, hopefully, I'm glad to hear that because that's the intent. And so if you don't have a website and you're looking to start a website, you could use ShopND, or if you just have a Facebook page, you can use the Facebook page. I mean, use what works for you. Sometimes it's going to be easier to rely on a Facebook, business page rather than starting a whole new website on your own. You got enough, things to worry about as a business owner. So we try to encourage you to keep it simple. Because too much can certainly become maybe distracting or noise for you as well. Go ahead, maybe.
And then just one last thing. Again, if there's any questions that anybody has, I've had great luck with you guys at getting back almost immediately as soon as it's sent off, and it's pretty easy, straightforward sometimes.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you. And I certainly can't promise we'll be like that all the time, but we do try our best to get back to people right away. I'll go back here and then come back to you. Somebody have a question over here? Yeah.
You're from the Grand Forks branch?
Yep.
We're from Cavalier, so.
Okay, yeah. We'll grab my card. We'll certainly help you out. And then,
I think one super exciting thing that we have, we've got our own website that is, we have a web developer for that, but then when ShopND came out, we got on there, very simple. He interacted with you, I'm not techie, and we got it up and running. But for the Pride of Dakota trade shows, we did, last year, we had a really great response with all of the customers that came to our booth, and I don't know how we got them, but we got a whole stack of ShopND cards and handed them out along with our business cards and the product that was sold, and told the consumer that this is like a huge Pride of Dakota vendor site, like it's a trade show online, and that's how we promoted you guys. So hopefully it helped with anybody else that has business that is on that site. It's kind of a cool thing to think of it as a vendor show online for all of
yeah, and again, I'll say Pride of Dakota has been a wonderful partner. I mean, we're not just Pride of Dakota, but certainly
So we're so excited.
a core of what we do has been supported by that. So again, thank you all for what you've done. I'll be around here for the next several minutes, but I'll let you get going to the next sessions. Katie, where should I send them? Or
Yep, we're back in Pier 7 for the movie session. So.
thank you all. Good to see you.